Welcome back to Valor Strategy, where we talk about the latest and most exciting news regarding UFC and MMA. In this video, we'll cover Michael Bisping's response to Sean Strickland's controversial remarks, Cain Velasquez on his time in jail, Donald Cerrone's divisive bodybuilding comments, plus a heartfelt tribute from former UFC Champion Forrest Griffin over Bonnar's death. So make sure to stay tuned till the end of the video, as we do have a special bonus content right at the end. Michael Bisping responds to Strickland's controversial remarks. Ahead of Bonnar's death, former UFC mate Sean Strickland had some controversial remarks to say about people's reaction to Bonnar's death. In an Instagram video, he stated,
"But Stephen Bonnar just died, and like my Instagram feed, Google, it's like flooded with like pictures of like people like, hey, this is me and Stephen Bonnar training. We're buddies. Like we used to hang out back in the day. Like I'm gonna post a picture about him and get double tap likes." But like, man, the Stephen Bonnar I know was fucking nuts.
One man wasn't too pleased with the divisive comments. Just days later, Michael Bisping sat down on the podcast Believe You Me and gave some much needed resolution to Strickland's comments, stating,
Kind of annoyed me was this video from Sean Strickland yesterday. He always inserts himself. He always has an opinion. And, you know, for the most part, that's what we like about Sean. You know, he doesn't care. He's not pandering to anyone. He says what's on his mind. And to a certain degree, I do respect that, but I feel like he was way off the...
Maybe the people that he views as just looking for likes and clicks and, oh, look at me, you know, I'm sad or whatever. I think that's what his point was.
What do you think of Strickland's comments? Bad timing, or is he just doing it to get attention? Cain Velasquez on his experience staying in jail. Cain Velasquez, the former UFC heavyweight champion, spent much of 2022 behind bars as he faced prosecution on multiple charges, including attempted murder. It was alleged that Velasquez chased and fired at a man who had reportedly molested a member of his family. Despite being denied bail on 2 occasions, Velasquez was eventually granted bail in November pending a new trial. In an interview on the Keeping It 100 podcast, Velasquez spoke about his time in jail, saying that he spent much of it in protective custody and that he had a lot of alone time to contemplate the situation he found himself in. Many of Velasquez's colleagues in the MMA world expressed support for him and called for his release. Velasquez expressed gratitude for their support, saying that it gave him strength while he was in jail. After retiring from MMA in 2019, Velasquez had been active in professional wrestling. In December, a judge granted him permission to attend a lucha libre event in Arizona. Marlon Vera claims fighters use drugs to bypass USADA. UFC bantamweight Marlon Vera thinks that there are ways to avoid USADA's drug testing, and that cheating is still prevalent in MMA.
Even if USADA randomly tests you, they can only test you from 6 to 6. I believe people are still cheating until this day. I really believe that.
Me too.
I heard there's drugs you can take and literally overnight kind of like disappear. Like USADA is effective, but I'm like, are USADA testing people in the fucking in a third world country or deep down in fucking, I don't know, Russia? I live in fucking California. They come to my house all the time. But I would probably rather die than cheat.
TJ, Dillashaw's continued use of performance-enhancing drugs, according to Cheeto, should be subject to USADA testing for at least a year after his retirement. Vera remarked on Believe You Me, if he comes back, it will be bizarre because he tested positive already and he claimed he's retiring forever. It's absurd that the moment you retire, you are no longer eligible for USADA benefits. At least test the guy for a year, I said. I believe people are cheating even until this day, he added. I really believe that. I heard there's drugs you can take and literally overnight kind of like disappear. But I would probably rather die than cheat. That's just me, right? The comments appear a bit more problematic since they're coming from a guy who himself is one of the most notorious cheats in UFC history, having tested positive for EPO in 2019 and getting a subsequent suspension for years by the UFC. What do you think of Vera's comments? Is this really something that needs to be addressed by the UFC? Let us know in the comments below. Cerrone's game is busted, taking steroids. Former MMA fighter Donald Cerrone recently sparked speculation about his use of performance-enhancing drugs when he shared training images showing a significantly more muscular physique just a few months after retiring from the sport.
I'm now 220 and I'm starting to really shred up and put on a lot of muscle mass, and you can really tell, I mean, just over the last few videos I've had people like, wow, you're a lot bigger, and well, yeah, I'm on the good shit.
Twitter reacts to Brunson versus Duplessis. UFC 285 will take place on March 4th in Las Vegas, and the main event will feature middleweight contenders Derek Brunson and Dricus Duplessis. The first person to break the news of the Brunson Duplessis booking was Brett Okamoto of ESPN. Brunson makes his first appearance following his defeat to Jared Cannonier at UFC 271. He was unsuccessful in getting a rematch with Israel Adesanya after being knocked out in the second round of the No. One contender fight. The fight is one of the most anticipated fights of 2023 and for good reason. Here's what Twitter had to say about the Brunson vs. Duplessis fight. Forrest Griffin missing former UFC mate Stephan Bonnar. The tributes keep on coming in for Stephan Bonnar days after his death shocked the MMA community around the world. Undoubtedly, the battle between Griffin and Bonnar was among the best and most significant in UFC history. In a back-and-forth battle in the TUF1 finals, Griffin defeated Bonnar by decision, but Bonnar acknowledged that fight was a game-changer for him. Bonnar said that the fight was a turning point in his career, stating that everything changed after the altercation with Griffin. Bonnar said that he had only a passing interest in pursuing a career in the UFC, but the fight with Griffin propelled him to fame, with people recognizing him everywhere he went. Now the man credited for taking part in a fight that saved UFC Forrest Griffin recently commented about Stephan Bonnar on social media. Stephan was a lot of things. He was always the most interesting person in the room. He had the biggest heart, and most importantly, he was my friend. I always loved it that people got excited when they found out we were really friends. I'll always miss you, brother, Griffin tweeted. As a result of his long UFC career, which spanned from 2005 to 2012, Bonnar faced opponents like Mark Coleman, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Rashad Evans, and Anderson Silva among others. He also fought Griffin again in 2006, a year and a half after their epic battle, and Griffin once more prevailed in a decision. What's your favorite Stephan Bonnar memory? Let us know in the comments below.